Hey everyone, welcome back to another review. This time I'm going to be talking about a game that you've probably seen my first look of, and that's A Robot Named Fight by Matt Bittner Games. This is a game made completely by one guy, and it's really awesome. I'm going to talk about why it's awesome, but you should definitely check out this game. The kind of game that it is, it's a roguelike Metroidvania, which is a really strange concept to me. The reason I find it to be such a strange concept is because traditionally Metroidvania games, which if you don't really know what they are, it's a genre where you tend to traverse the same area over and over, and they have strategically placed things for you to unlock once you gain certain abilities. So for instance, in Metroid, you can't open up certain doors without the rocket launcher. Now, how can you do that if you're playing a roguelike? And if you don't know what a roguelike is, it's a game where it's procedurally generated. So that means every time you play it, it's different. The layout is different. The power-ups that you get are different. The enemies that you run into are different, although in this one, the enemies tend to stay the same. Those two things, that sounds to me like oil and water, but Matt Bittner seems to have pulled it off. The way that the game works is it rolls the dice at the beginning and it tells you, or it doesn't tell you, but the game then decides based on whatever came up. All right, well, we're going to make sure that they've got a flamethrower for this set of levels because we're going to put some flamethrower doors on the game, and that kind of thing over and over, so that every time I played it, it was a different experience. It even has like a little clock in the top, so I start the game, I talk to a guy who's leaning against the wall, very much like the Chozo statues in Super Metroid that's playing on the arcade behind me. So he's leaning there, you talk to him, and maybe he'll give you a power-up, maybe he will take some of your health, maybe he'll just tell you something about the game, and then the guy dies, and then you are on your own trying to traverse this procedurally generated world and pick up some items along the way. Let's take a second to talk about the items. The way that you get the items is by defeating the bosses. So let's say that you come up against a boss and you defeat it. You're going to get an item which then will unlock for future playthroughs the item that is linked to that boss. So again, I'm going to use rockets this time. Maybe I defeated a boss and it says now you can find rockets in the game the next time that you play through. So let's say that I get killed. The next time I play the game, I may find the rocket power-up somewhere in the game, and because I now have the rocket power-up, the game will make sure that there is something for me to use those rockets on, be it a specific kind of door or an enemy or something like that. So that's how you end up getting the power-ups. Now let's talk about the graphics for a second. The game is really cool. I've talked about this a whole lot. I love this style of gameplay. I grew up with the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, so 16-bit art style is really in my wheelhouse. It's something that I've always been a big fan of, and this one nails it almost so much that I feel like the main character fight, it feels like they took the stills of Samus Aran's sprite and traced them and then changed a couple things. Not that I'm complaining about that, because it definitely works really well, but like it really feels like you're playing almost as Samus. The monsters that you come across in the game are really kind of gross looking. I mean, it's 16-bit, so it's not super gross, but it's kind of gross. Like there's certain monsters that will vomit across the room, and I will say this about the game: the sound design is top notch. Everything has like a squishy, kind of almost like a wet sound to it, and that's because you're a robot fighting against this giant cloud of meat that has attacked the planet, which is a really strange sentence to say, but it's a fun game to play. So I feel like the procedurally generated levels add a lot of replayability to the game. I've probably played it for about 6 hours total, and I still haven't beat it. I went to howlongtobeat.com or whatever the website is, where people can put in how long it took them to finish the game. And I guess on average, they say that the campaign, they say that you can get to the final boss in about 2 hours. That's if you don't keep dying like I do, because the game is a roguelike. Every time you die, you start over from the beginning. Now, that doesn't mean that you can still have the stuff that you've unlocked, but you have to go find it again. And the map is different unless you keep the seed. And if you don't know what that means, in many procedurally generated games, the game will tell you what numbers and letters, like a number letter combination that you can put in to the game to get that same map again. So if you just want to see the end of the game, what you could do is you could probably go online, find a seed that has a map already revealed for you, and you can go through it that way. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep playing this game. It's really fun. But I wanted to talk about it because I feel like I've done enough that I understand the nuances of the game, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I would definitely recommend you check out A Robot Named Fight. Especially if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, and especially if you're a fan of roguelikes. And I am a big fan of both. Like, one of my favorite games of all time is oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Rogue Legacy. There we go. I had to look it up. Rogue Legacy. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I put many hours into that game. I played it, like, it came out back in 2013, I think, and it was an absolute blast. And if you like that style of game, then you'll definitely enjoy A Robot Named Fight. I really did not expect, like, I didn't even know it was a roguelike when I first started playing the game. I just thought it was a Metroidvania. And what I really did not expect is for somebody to take the roguelike genre and the Metroidvania genre and put them together and do such a great job. And the fact that it was made by one guy, just kudos to them. So A Robot Named Fight on Nintendo Switch, really great game. I almost forgot to say that this was a review copy, so I didn't pay for it, but it is not an ad for the game. So make sure that you check it out. Anyway, if you did not know, I have a podcast called Nintendo Switchcraft. You can check that out wherever podcasts are downloaded, or you can watch the episodes right here. Just don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.